Welcome to another episode of Looking Forward to It. We're live this time on the Easy Allies chat. Today is Monday, September 26th, 2016, and we are convened here today to talk about a new patch that's coming out tomorrow for Final Fantasy XIV, and it's called Soul Surrender. It's patch 3.4, and it's the fourth post-release content patch for the game. And we're going to be all up in this because it's releasing tomorrow, and we're all going to be staying up late to play it sometime early next morning. So if you guys don't know who we are, we work for NovaCrystallis.com, which is a site that delves a lot into Square Enix Japan titles, like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts. So like Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy XV, we cover a lot of news, reviews, all that stuff. We're here with Easy Allies' Michael Damiani. Want to say hi?
He doesn't.
I guess he doesn't want to say hi. Well, we'll skip him.
Oh, wait, you didn't hear me?
No, I didn't hear you.
No.
I think chat heard me. I don't think you all heard me.
Oh,
weird.
The magic
It's a
of
Discord. It's a Discord thing, anyway. I guess I gotta leave the Discord window up. Otherwise, it doesn't pick up my audio. We have this problem when we do Eorzean Allies, when I do it with the other guys. If I don't have the Discord window active, they can't hear me all of a sudden. It's really annoying. So, yeah, like, see, chat now is hearing it. They hear me because XSplit obviously picks up my audio. Sorry. It's really annoying. Discord needs to fix that or some crap. Or someone needs to tell me what I'm doing wrong in Discord that it cuts me off. Anyway. Hi, everyone. I'm here. I exist.
Yay!
So you are an Easy Ally, or so I've been told.
Yes, I am part of the Easy Allies. I'm assuming most everyone here, since this is our Twitch channel, knows who we are. But
Well, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I guess I'll just explain real quick. We're a group of people who cover video game stuff. You go to easyallies.com, and you can also see our stuff here on Twitch. We have youtube.com/easyallies. We're Patreon supported, so that's how we get by and stuff. Interesting experiment, going well for us so far. And this is and to explain again, Tony explained what this is. We are trying this out for anyone who's just arriving to see hosting other content with other collaborators on our Twitch channel, because we'd like to get more Twitch programming. So ask us questions about, keep it to JRPGs if you can. We're not going to answer like any random question or about the show itself. In chat, we'll try and get to some of those questions. That's the point of this being live. And at the end, let us know your feedback and stuff. You see all the Twitter handles. Be sure to tweet at any of us your feedback and your input, because we'd like to keep doing this live if possible. But you know, it's up to all of you. So let us know.
Awesome. So definitely, if you guys like the show, let us know. Comments. Hit us up on Twitter. Blow up our Twitter feeds. Tell us we're awful or good or awesome. All up to you guys. So moving on to the big topic for today. I also want to introduce some of our cohorts here. I also have Aaron Van Dyne on the stream.
Hello.
And we have Mike D'Antoni.
Hey, everyone.
And so the three of us are with NovaCrystallis.com, and so if you want to check out some of the latest content that we put up, you can also visit us there. So, patch 3.4, tomorrow, guys, like, it's already here, Patch of Dreams. Let's get ready.
Literally in a few hours.
I know, it's like, what, 10 hours now? Is that right?
Something like that.
It's not happening early.
So,
Yeah, you know, I saw that tweet. I was like, these
yeah.
Well, anything involving housing in a patch update in 14, they never set it live early, just because they think it's fair if everyone has the same opportunity to zerg and rush and buy all the housing, so it'll be sold out in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Like, the apartments thing I'm looking forward to talking about, because it's gonna be kind of an interesting opening of the gates towards those those apartment complexes that are getting put up in each of the three major cities. So, actually, Aaron, I want to ask, just because if people are tuning in and they don't know much about Final Fantasy XIV yet, which they should be playing, which is an awesome game. So patch 3.4, what does that mean?
Well, it's obviously its latest patch that's coming out to the game, but they're offering a whole new content, and since it's on the even numbered patches, that means we're going to get a brand new raid, new item level, new gear sets, new pretty much everything. So everything is pretty much changing in the game, and they're doing new battle system updates and new story content as well.
Awesome, awesome. So, I mean, I guess I'll throw this out there. If you want to follow along, we are actually going to be talking a lot about the patch notes that went up tonight. Servers are down right now. It's maintenance mode to get ready for the big patch, so everyone's kind of anticipating it and kind of pouring through the notes. So, the patch 3.4 notes are live, the full version. So, if you want to check those out, we're going to be kind of going through them and putting our thoughts out there into the ether. So I guess I want to start off with the story. And so, Mike, it's kind of the ending of the last patch 3.3. That was the ending of like the Dragon Song War. And I guess we won't spoil too much of that, but we're kind of pivoting now towards the expansion storyline. So we're talking 4.0, like the next expansion, which we're expecting sometime in the spring of next year. So what are you looking forward to as far as what they're going to set up for the story, and what have they hinted so far that's kind of caught your eye?
Well, I think the story's gonna maybe cycle back around to the Garlean Empire. I think that's what we're all hoping for. But I honestly don't know what to expect coming out of the Dragon Song War and how they're gonna wrap it up and move on with it. So,
Well, it seems like they kind of wrapped everything up mostly in patch 3.3, and they kind of hinted towards some 3.4 stuff. We know that there's kind of more of Garlean goings on happening now. If you watch the patch 3.4 trailer, we see that there's some kind of interesting goings on in some of the areas towards the east, I want to say. So, for example, like the new dungeon we're going to is called Zelfatol, and that's located somewhere in the northeast of Eorzea in kind of a big mountainous region, which kind of it's sort of like a barrier between the Eorzea that we're able to explore right now and the Garlean Empire. And in between them is a city that is no longer bustling, you'd say. It's Alamigo. And so there's a lot of speculation that we're headed in that direction towards maybe Alamigo or maybe even into the Empire proper. So, Michael, like, what are you expecting? Do you think they're going to pull any surprise twists and be like, nope, you're going to want to go to the moon instead?
Oh, why do you toy with me?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you toy with my heart and the moon? I seriously, after that teaser of that scene on the moon, that's all I've wanted. And I thought we were gonna go there. I thought the last part of Bahamut, of Coil was actually gonna be on the moon. Like I remember we were joking about lunar Allegan gear was gonna be the thing. I don't know. I still feel a moon scenario is going to happen. I think we're not going to that in the next one. I think we're going to. I think Alamigo is pretty much going to be it. I think that's a foregone conclusion. Yoshi P has done his best to dodge the answering about that, but when he answers other questions, he kind of indirectly mentions or kind of confirms that. So as far as the Empire stuff, like I'll be glad to have it come back. I think I've said on previous occasions that the Dragon Song War was a good story. I just didn't think it had enough meat to it to continue for that long. So I'm glad that they wrapped it up before the end of this expansion, because I don't know where else they were going to go with it. So I'm ready for the Empire stuff to come back. I think that's definitely happening. I think we're definitely going there. I'm ready for that change of pace. And and who knows? Maybe Aaron's favorite character will make a return in glorious fashion.
Hildebrand?
I really hope so.
Oh man, Hildebrand introduces him?
No. Just that certain character.
If chat doesn't know who we're talking about Mr. Gaius Van Belzar, who is
the best character in the game.
Who is an incredibly evil villain who should stay dead forever.
Well, I don't really think he's dead, but whatever.
You're probably right, and I don't even want to make a bet this time. Like, I have a feeling that we'll see that dude again someday.
But I guess as far as the story stuff, I wanted to point out one of the points that I found most interesting was we're finally going to see the return of Alice, who is Alphino's sister.
Wonder
Who's
Twins.
Yes, and she's kind of like taken a really big back seat as far as the main scenario goes. And she was important in the Binding Coil of Bahamut, but as far as like the main quest, she just kind of pieced out after a while, and that was it.
Well, we did get a little hint at the end of 3.3, but it seems like patch 3.4 she's going to make some sort of return.
Yeah, and the other cool part about that is if you actually did complete Coil, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of different interaction for you.
That's interesting because, well, now I'm really glad that I finished it back in 2 point, God, what was it, 2.5 I finished it?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but it's funny because I've seen a lot of people lately like, oh, I gotta get back into Coil now that, they're offering that for people.
Yeah, that was kind of an odd thing to mention last minute. That would have done wonders if they had announced that, a month ago or something. Just tease that part of the patch, saying you might want to. All I had to say is you might want to go back and finish Coil before you advance to 3.4, because I felt like more people were rushing to complete Coil this past weekend than to finish the current rate to finish Midas. It was pretty funny seeing more Coil party finders than Midas party finders.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, which, story is definitely a big draw for this game, so I don't blame them.
I'm kind of wondering why the rush will be, because I have a feeling that, and we're going to talk about this later, but the Wondrous Tales, my suspicion is that that's going to get a lot of people back into Coil anyway, and so I'm kind of wondering now, like, maybe people can rush now, but I suppose before they do the story. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to me because, it's a cute little bone to throw people who, went through all of T1 through 213 and, really dug the story, and it's kind of nice to see that they're throwing in something for the people who put the effort in to kind of get that done. So before I get too far into like the Coil stuff, what exactly is Coil, Aaron, for people who don't know like the end game content for 14?
So the Binding Coil Bahamut was the first high-end raid they offered when Final Fantasy 2.0 launched in 2013. And every 6 months or so, they come out with a new tier of that raid. And now we're in Alexander, but before we had the Binding Coil Bahamut, Second Coil, and then Final Coil, which ended with a big fight against Bahamut.
Yeah, so I mean, I've played MMOs before, but I never really got into kind of the raid scene. Like I've played WoW, I played other games, but 14 was really like the first MMO where I got really into the raid scene. Before that, maybe it was like once every 2 weeks with all of my friends online, and we would try it out and just absolutely fail. And but gosh, I think World of Warcraft, and that was God 2008, 2009 that I was raiding. So like Wrath of the Lich King, that era. But now in Final Fantasy XIV, like I really got into kind of like the raiding for Binding Coil. Not so much these days because I've become infinitely busy in real life, and unfortunately,
casual.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly you calling me out, and I accept. Yep. I accept the casual.
Yep. You heard it here first.
I accept the casual core title.
It's not a title.
It's okay because now they have story mode.
They sure do.
Yeah. Gosh. So, I guess to explain it, the new set of raids for Heavensward, and so think we just explained like what Coil is. It's basically like a high-end raid for groups of up to 8 players to go in and just really be tested on really punishing mechanics and so on. It's really fun, and you'll get really good gear and all that good stuff. But then we had the Heavensward version of that, which is the Mechanical Fortress Alexander series. And so we've had 2 tiers of that already. We had Gordius in 3.0, 3.0, 3.05-ish. And we had Midas, which was 3.2, if I recall correctly. Okay, yes. So there were 2 tiers of that, and this time they tried something a little bit different. In the 2.x series, they had just one difficulty mode other than the second coil's Savage mode, which was kind of like a super punishing, like, you have to be 150% on your game to be able to even try to clear it.
Literally not tested content.
Yeah. Like, good luck, guys. Like,
I mean, you could sort of say that about some of Alexander Savage too, though.
Possibly. We could, and we're definitely gonna kind of transition into that because I know that there's been a lot more of an intense feedback this time regarding like how the raids have gone, like as far as Gordius and Midas have gone. So what to kind of put it into context, what they did with the Heavensward raids is that they kind of looked at the feedback that they were getting and made the determination that, well, there are people that want more of a challenge with raiding, and there are people that, you know, maybe want to just try to get it done for the story. And so the solution that they came up for the Heavensward raids was to add a Savage mode difficulty, and think of that as an extremely punishing, unforgiving mode where you need like the best gear you can get at the time to stand a chance. And then there's kind of like an easier sort of story mode where I would say, would it be fair to say that Gordius was a little bit harder than Crystal Tower, and then Midas was maybe like the same difficulty as Crystal Tower?
I mean,
Do you mean the normal version, I hope?
Yeah, the norm.
Oh my god, then yeah, sure. Not Savage.
I feel like it's, I don't know, because I've had bad experiences with both Crystal Tower and normal Alexander and Duty Finder, so it's really hard to say.
That is in like here's where stuff gets real, basically.
Like, I feel like in the 24 mans, there is a little bit more leniency in the things that you don't have to do.
Well, tell that to people that still wipe on Ozma and all that good stuff.
Right, which is why I said it's kind of difficult to say whether or not one is easier over the other. But Alexander, I feel you still kind of have to know what you're doing, even in the story mode.
Oh man, you do kind of have to be watchful because, not gonna lie, like I've gone through there recently after kind of taking a break for a couple months, and oh man, I felt embarrassed when I couldn't remember the exact mechanics, and I play a tank, so sometimes it's easy to kind of watch everything just absolutely unfold and decay, and it's all fun, but of course, when everyone's got this content on lockdown, it's a little bit more unforgiving as far as how people treat you. But it's all good. It's nowhere I haven't been before. But yeah, like Midas. Okay, so explain to us like what's been the deal with Gordius and Midas, and what do you think? Like taking the feedback that they did from Coil, did you see this as kind of like a logical progression from where Coil was? But then as you guys have rated through there, like what do you think has been the ultimate failing of Midas or Gordius?
I think as far as, I guess, a base complaint, like an overall complaint, is Alexander just wasn't as interesting as Coil. The story and the overall visuals and boss fights in Coil were actually a lot more interesting, as well as the story.
Well, I mean, granted, like it didn't have a $3 million cinematic to kind of open it up for.
Right, which and that was actually the whole deal with Coil, was that it was continuing from the very end of 1.0, and really it tied up a lot of things for those fans who had played through 1.0 and gave them a little bit of closure while still offering up something that was really cool for people who hadn't experienced that content.
So Michael, what do you think, like going through Gordius and Midas, what do you think that they got right as far as design goes?
What did they get right?
Putting you on the spot. Putting you on the spot.
Living Liquid for sure.
I'll give them
Oh
that.
man.
Creating story mode allowed majority of the player base to experience some form of raid, as well as the story of Alexander. Although the story of Alexander wasn't nearly as compelling as the story for Binding Coil Bahamut. So I don't know. I think story mode is a nice touch. I don't think they should necessarily get rid of it. But at the same time, the thing I'll say about Gordius and Midas Savage is that while there were some there were tuning issues that plagued Gordius really badly. We've talked about it in depth, specifically A3S and A4S. Pepsi Man was the bane of existence for the longest time. However, I still think once you know and clear A3S, or if they had tuned it down just a little bit, I'm not talking about like the nerfs they did after the fact, but just toned down everything a little bit in terms of like numbers, like scaling. I think it's actually kind of a fun fight and pretty well designed. A4S is trash. It's one of the most boring fights they've ever seen.
The worst fight ever.
It wasn't particularly hard. It just had really annoying checks. And once you were able, like whether it was through gear or whatever optimization you're doing, once you figure them out, it wasn't that bad of a battle. Like learning the dance that fight was pretty easy.
It's just boring. It's so boring.
It's just really boring. But the first two turns, like A1 and A2 weren't that great. A1 was okay. A2 was boring, not very fun. Some people like going back to multiple waves of trash mobs attacking you and then having to deal with them. So that was Gordius. I don't think Gordius was that great. A3S was the highlight, but it was kind of like mired in controversy over being so damn hard and wrecking so many raid groups and just generally turning people off from raiding. And then Midas, A5S is fun because of its Mario Party nature. I wish they'd gone a little bit further with the mechanics in terms of the colored puddles from the syringes. Like that would have been neat to have a little bit more involvement with that. I didn't really like A6S. The original one was just like way too overtuned. So I think that was another mistake, but as we all know, they recognized it. They fixed it before it got out of hand. A7 is just weird.
It's like the gauntlet, right?
A6 is the gauntlet.
Right. I keep getting
robots,
mixed up.
Which is kind of cool now.
I think 7 is fine. I like 7 though.
Some people think 7 is just too boring for some reason because it doesn't do enough.
You run away from the cat. It's the best.
I like 7.
I like the theme that they did with it. The rolling balls, like it was like Indiana Jones, like on Raiders of the Lost Ark feeling, like you can't get hit by these balls, they're gonna like run you over. I was like, what is this? And the spikes, it was different. It was kind of fun. And then there is I personally now I think has supplanted A3S as my worst rating experience is A8S. And I didn't spend as much time on it as A3, but I think AAS is just too damn long of a fight. It is like everything that is wrong with the like why fights should not be long in MMOs. Like, please go away from pushing the limit on how long a fight needs to be. That fight removed a single phase, I think it would have been fine. But it has just one too many phases in my book, and it just takes too damn long, and it's just so unforgiving for what it is. It's cool how much stuff's going on in it, but I think it's too much. It's just a little too much, and just because of how easy it is to screw up the later and later you get into it, I was just like, I'm losing interest in this fight. I'm sorry, this is no longer fun.
What?
I was like,
no.
Yeah. I was just not having fun with A8. I was like,
no. A8 is the best fight.
Okay.
See, I will
It's
agree.
awesome.
I'll agree with Damiani here. The problem with that fight is it's way too unforgiving, and it can really easily burn people out, especially if you've been on it for months and months and had to replace people, and people just all around with low morale and losing motivation. I mean, we finally got our clear this
Congratulations
past week.
too.
Oh, thanks. But I mean, it should have happened earlier, but like I said, just, people didn't have the motivation, and we did have to replace a bunch of people, so there was that, and that just kind of added, everything kept piling on top of each other, so it just, like, they need to not make an experience like that again.
I did see someone in chat try and make a comparison. Interesting, because I don't see people who play with us make this comparison. Someone tried to say Souls much, Filio Bucks. I assume you're referencing the Souls games. I hope, if I got your comment correctly, that some of the boss battles and stuff, like not just Unforgiving, but taking a long time or something like that. The difference is, in a Souls game, there's multiplayer, obviously. You can rely on someone, but it's single player. It's up to your own skill level, and there's a lot more to raiding than just single player ability. It's a whole different dynamic. So that comparison completely ignores the dynamic of getting together with 7 other people on a set schedule, and that's pretty much the only way you can have a chance to clear this content in a timely fashion. It opens a whole other discussion about like raiding as a difficult challenge versus any single player boss or challenge. Like, they don't add up. It's also different from, I would even say, like fighting games, like competitive tourney level players. They obviously need other people to play against, but it's solely dependent on your own skill in a fighting game. So they're just such vastly different dynamics is basically the only thing I can say. And I never think that's a fair comparison whatsoever. So,
well, what I'd say is that, rating in like Final Fantasy XIV, for example, skill, I guess, is some part of it, but I mean, a lot of it too is just kind of planning and doing research and being able to use your time and manage your time wisely. And that's been like a huge group killer for me in the past before. Like, you'll get everyone together on, 8 o'clock on a Monday night, like tonight, for example. And, let's say 2 people have like life issues that are going on, or, 2 people haven't really done proper enough research, so they don't really know like the phase of a fight very well. And, some groups, depending on how it works, like you can work through those problems. But I know that there are a lot of groups that, after a time, they're unable to kind of get past some of those roadblocks. And I think, as I was rating in Coil, gosh, Coil was like, what, 2 years ago now? My biggest thing is that it wasn't so much like skill, it was more like being able to put the time in to be able to know everything that you're going to be faced with.
I mean, that's just why raiding isn't really for everyone, like, especially at the high end. That's why they introduced the normal mode things for people to pick up. You clear the fight in a sitting and you're done. And you move on. And you leave Savage for the people who actually can put those kind of things together.
I'd say yes and no, mostly because they are actually putting good rewards under Savage now, unlike Second Coil Savage, where the reward was just a title. And I feel like that type of content where you are getting, an actual decent reward, yes, you should have to put in some effort, but it shouldn't be like 6 months of bashing your head against the final fight effort.
I definitely agree. I think, I think that's really caused a lot of people to kind of burn out and come back, at a different raid tier or for like an expansion. I guess, like, do you think they have to walk kind of a balance? Because, and I'm going to bring this up again, but back in I would say 2.4, 2.5, whenever Final Quill came out, it seemed like a really good difficulty setting or difficulty tuning for the sort of mid-core. Like, they weren't able to beat it right away, but they were to be able to beat it maybe after like 1 or 2 months after some.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but I've always felt that Final Coil difficulty was perfect. I mean, yeah, your, top tier world first groups beat it within a week, but I mean, I think the group that I was in, it took us about a month and a half, and that's I feel like that's a good amount of time to get through everything, because at the time also they didn't have the token system. So I mean, you were still relying on RNG to get the drops that you needed, and as we all know, it doesn't always work out in our favor, right? So I mean, there's that, plus just the overall confidence you feel of having gotten that content down and still having enough time to do other things that you want to do in the game rather than logging in and just worrying about the raid. I mean, it's a great feeling.
It's a great feeling, but at the same time, I distinctly remember a lot of people saying, "Well, I've cleared Final Coil maybe like 7 or 8 times already. I've done all that I need to do. Like, there's nothing left for me to do in the game. Although there's like still like a massive amount of things."
See, I feel like
do.
that's actually a problem, because obviously Yoshi P and the team listened to those people, and that's why we got Gordius. And those people don't represent the whole picture here.
I think Gordius and Midas, like the idea of designing major content like that for maybe I guess 1 or 2% of the player base that will clear it. And maybe those percentages are generous too, but I feel like there's a kind of there are people that kind of prescribe to an idea that if you design content like this for the best of the best, like the really hardcore world firsters, that the drive to try to beat it will kind of trickle down to kind of like the mid-core, hardcore, mid-core. But we didn't really see that with Gordius or Midas. We just kind of saw a lot of puffing and puffing, and a lot of groups kind of either giving up or just kind of becoming these Frankenstein kind of statics, like, we're gonna swap in 2 people on Tuesday, we're gonna swap in 3 people on Saturday, and just, pray everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a shakeup, and speaking to Yoshi P at E3, he did say that going forward into the next tier, which is coming out in this new patch, they're definitely making the raid easier. They want more people to get in there and play the content that they've, spent time and money designing. So, I mean, I totally understand where he's coming from, where he says, yeah, we listened to those very few people who really, really wanted harder content, but in the end, like, it just didn't work out. So, now they're hopefully going back to what we saw in Final Coil with he said something like if you only log in with your group 1 to 2 times a week, you'll be able to clear within at least 2 months. So fingers crossed, hopefully he's right, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, they haven't really been right too often on the amount of time they expect people to clear things. But like as the raid tiers have gone on, in terms of Savage, it's gotten better and better.
Midas, he did say Midas was going to be easier than Gordius, and he was right about that. To an extent, he said it would be between second and Final Coil difficulty, and
Yeah,
I can agree to that to some extent, but definitely not the last fight.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I like the added challenge. Like I thought Brute Justice was at least a fun fight that was difficult versus 4,
like
which is
yeah,
just
I mean, it is a fun fight. It is really fun.
J kick, J wave.
Oh man, J
when
waves.
when we finally did clear it, it was super satisfying. And going back in there and trying to help a different group, I was still having fun. So yeah, it is fun. It's just when you have other people who aren't having fun, that it kind of just drags everything down.
I kind of agree with what someone is saying in the chat right now, where like I do think that some of Midas was tuned a little bit too difficult. Like I was trying to help out some people in my free company, like clear once in a while, and they had the mechanics down, rather well. They should have been able to clear 6 sooner than they did, but it was tuned like pretty tightly, and it was pretty difficult. And like even though Midas 2 got nerfed like pretty quick, it was still like Vortexer is still a pretty big challenge for a lot of people because of the amount of group coordination and synergy you kind of need to get through it.
Yeah, and actually another comment from Yoshida about that was he said something about the rotations for each job in Heaven's Word had become more difficult, and because Midas required more mechanics, more people to do mechanics while doing these more difficult rotations, then it created more problems. So people who aren't, I guess, really playing their job as well as they could be, maybe that could have been a challenge for them as well. But I can definitely see where Yoshida's coming from on that one.
Yeah, like the tuning for the DPS checks, they were expecting people, especially in Gordius when Gordius came out, they were kind of anticipating people to be able to pull like 80% of what their job could possibly put out. And we just got these jobs, we just are learning these jobs, and no one's realistically going to be able to put up those numbers. Like, people still don't. The people who can are very, very few. So yeah, I think they eased that up a little bit in Midas. Maybe not enough, but I don't think a lot of people were losing to like DPS checks as much as they were losing to like mechanics. Like 7 was a huge mechanics hellhole, more or less.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I saw my white mage get crushed by a couple of boulders. So, like, and then what it sounds like the approach they took towards creator, and I hope they didn't overcorrect too much, was that they lessened DPS checks even more. But it sounds like the mechanics might still be on the same level as Midas. So I wonder if that's really going to change the clear rates. Because DPS has not seemed like it was the issue in Midas. In Gordius, yes. In Midas, maybe not as much.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what happens with that, because, like, I mean, Yoshida even admitted that, yeah, mechanics are hard. So, I guess we'll see what happens. Yeah.
So, Michael, what do you think? And we've talked about this before, and I wanted you to bring it up again, but what do you think, like, the biggest lesson they could take from how Gordius minus how rating has gone so far in Heaven's Word? What would you like to see, like, them try to do in 4.0 on that series of raids? Like, I know you've thrown some ideas at us before, but what would you like to see as far as how the difficulties are designed, or where do you think it needs to be?
Honestly, I think that the easiest thing for them to do is just make a third difficulty tier that's in between the story mode, which is meant for the vast majority of players to clear, and the Savage mode, which is meant for a very small portion of the player base to clear, the quote-unquote mid-core level of content that falls in line with the difficulty of, I would say, closer to the EX Primal challenge, around there. Like, nothing can't be harder than an EX Primal, I would say, because I think with enough time, people who really want to clear an EX Primal are going to get that clear of an Extreme Primal within, that existing patch. I do hope the lesson that they learn is that they have to be a little bit careful with the tuning and reacting to the feedback from the player base, because they cause a lot of damage with Gordius, and I still think the rating community is kind of reeling from it. They have a lot of work cut out for them, and I do hope that on the same token, I do hope they did not over tune in the opposite direction, because that will disappoint a lot of raiders. But at the same time, I think it's easier for them to shoot lower and it'll get more people into it, and then slowly tune up. I don't think they should shoot too high and tune down. That's what they already did with Gordius. So swinging the other way isn't necessarily the complete answer, but I think it's a better course to adjust from than what they did. And the final lesson is just learn to stop listening to the vocal minority of people. Week one world first groups are not who you should be listening to for how to tune your raid. Yes, they probably understand more about the fights than even the developers will ever understand, but that's not what you should be listening to necessarily. And don't listen to armchair warriors, raiders who haven't actually done this stuff and just like to it's basically NeoGAF sometimes, where they complain about games they haven't played.
And it's an echo chamber, and
let's
it's just
complain
like
about raids we haven't raided yet.
right. That happens.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because
I mean, I already saw that with people reacting to Yoshida's comments on the creator. They're like, "Oh, it's already awful," and it's like, "Well, you haven't played it yet, so how can you say that?"
yeah.
So, like, why do you think people are kind of knee-jerking that way, though? Do you think it's because they dislike the ideology going on here that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Savage Rating is, you know, nerfed and so that it can be completed by everyone? Or is it more like, you know, I don't know. Do you think that there's a lot of ego, you know, on display, or do you think it's a lot of bluster?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
Uh-oh.
It's ego. It's
Hmm.
definitely ego. You know, people, and I've seen it before. People who clear early, they're like, "Oh yeah, I cleared. Don't ever nerf this content. It's perfect the way it is, even though other people can't clear it." But yeah, those people are also the first ones to actually cry about nerfs, even though they've already cleared the content.
Well, we saw that with when 6 was nerfed. We had a lot of people who were just like, "Oh, I can't believe they nerfed it." It's like you guys barely just cleared it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
if the fight's poorly designed, or like not poorly designed, but you know, like you know, it should be fixed before a majority of people are going to get to it and start beating their head against the wall. Like I remember when 6 was nerfed, we were already in there for like, oh my gosh, 2 weeks or something like that,
Oh
or
man.
something similar to that. And you know, when they took away one of the mines, we're like, wow, this is like the easiest phase ever. How is anyone going to wipe to it? I go join some people who are not as hardcore as my group is, and I mean, I learned very quickly how people can wipe to that to that phase. You know, it's not for everyone. It's not easy for everyone. So I think making it as approachable as possible is good. That's kind of what they did with Coil, right? Like Coil 1 was kind of like everyone's first introduction to what 14 rating was going to be like, and then I personally don't like second Coil as much as some people do. I think they overcorrected a little bit, but they brought it right back for Final. I thought Final was
Hey,
obviously probably the best tier they put together.
I
I'm hoping that Creator rivals it, but it's going to be a tough act to follow.
I still have nightmares about T9. Like, I don't know how I got through
T9's not
it,
that
but
bad.
turn 9.
turn 9, yeah.
Turn
Turn
9's
turn
not that
9,
bad.
like, I just, like, for me, like, it was fun. Like, turn 9 was fun, but at the same time, like, it was kind of at a point where my raid group was kind of hitting its limits, and I think that, and it was kind of weird because we kind of hit our limit around T8 for some reason. Like, we just, for some reason, we weren't able to get enough time together on it to practice, and so when we got to, I think what happened is that Aaron, we kind of put together kind of like a ragtag group of,
Oh yeah, I remember
do you
that. We
remember
tried.
race car,
Yeah,
right?
we had like an alt group, and you were in there.
Hmm. So I mean, like that was fun, but at the same time, like the worst feeling for me was like screwing something up for the group, like way, 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 way later in the fight, and then having
Mhm.
to start over from square one and just being like, guys, I'm so sorry, like, and you know, everyone was cool, right? But at the same time, it's like, oh man, if
I mean,
you,
I'll be honest with you. Nothing that happened there was ever as bad as turn 4.
oh god,
Oh man, the group of tears, yeah.
group of tears.
It was so bad.
But I think actually Harry said something interesting about or Aaron, sorry, but he said something interesting about the alt group. Like I remember a bunch of us in GAF got an alt group together for Final Coil once we had cleared it for a while. Where like we had
Yeah.
alt characters and we would go in there and raid on it again because those fights were so much fun. We wanted to fight them more than once a week. We wanted to loot them more than once a week.
Yeah, I
I
mean
mean,
that's really what I loved about Final Coil was how fun it was.
right, and like I still have my alt, aptly named Sophia. You know, and I was getting to do the same thing with Alexander, but the fights are just like
They feel more like a
much.
chore.
There's so much more of a chore, right? Than I'm the Good ever was. You know, like it was
Yeah.
fun and approachable in a way that some Midas fights kind of aren't. So I think that's a big difference in the 2 raid tiers so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's
is
a perfect example of, why people loved the Coil of Bahamut and why a bunch of people can't stand Alexander.
So yeah, like I'm personally hoping that they learn a lot from what went maybe right and wrong with Alexander, and maybe taking a nostalgic look back at Coil and seeing, it seems like, a lot of people enjoyed Coil a lot better, flaws, and, I do think Coil, for what it's worth, I think Coil was really good, but there are a few choke points, like I think, like, and I'll bring up T9 again. T9 was really fun, but at the same time, like, it felt like the mechanics were stacked so far at the back that, like, messing something up and just, like, being absolutely drained after, like, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours in there, and just not wanting to go back in there again and, like, dreading raid day.
Speaking of backloaded mechanics and getting drained, that was A3's problem as well.
Oh, Living Liquid, Bubble Butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One positive thing I'm going to talk about, because I'm sure people are getting sick of us waxing poetic about how shitty raiding is. The palette they've shown off for Alexander the Creator is way more interesting so far than Midas and Gordius, especially Gordius, have been. And I think that's also part of, like, when you look at the raid as a whole, it's also the artistic style that goes into it, right? It's people love Bahamut. I mean, that's pretty clear. But, like, if you look at each one of the coils, like, every fight was in a different room with different colors, different palettes, and all of Alexander's been kind of gold, kind of brown, kind of yellow the entire way through.
Like, I will say,
you fight Brute Justice in the same freaking room you fight A4 with those stupid friggin' pistons bopping up and down. I'm sick of that place. But like when you look at what they showed off in the trailer for a Creator, like all these different colors, especially the last fight. I assume it's the last fight against the titular enemy. It's like this really cool arena, even if it's a circle, and like this really, really great atmosphere of the fight. And that, I think, is what really is missing from Alexander to get people to want to go forward into it. Is like it has to be engaging in more ways than just the fights are good. It has to be the feeling of exploration from Coil is kind of gone in Alexander, which is disappointing.
Let's not overkill it on Coil, because I mean, come on, like turn 3, like what the hell was that?
It was an engine. You were inside a ship engine.
What was the point of turn 3?
Well, less about the point and more about the journey and the exploration aspect.
The point was you gotta go fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
it was something, all right. Like especially
definitely Gears of War syndrome.
I'd rather play turn 3 than ever play Alexander floor 2 again.
Well, you talk about aesthetics though, but I actually really like the God, keep messing up because the numbering system. I keep thinking of like Coil, for example.
Just put an A in front of it and you're good.
7. I like 7 in Alexander.
Yeah, 7 has the best background.
7 was cool because it's like a mini city inside of Alexander.
It seems like there's going to be another floor that's going to be similar to that too, but there's definitely some hijinks going on. And by the way, there's a huge crystal that looks an awful lot like Heidelin just kind of floating there for some reason.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm kind of definitely curious what that is.
Did you guys see the new weather that's in the patch notes? I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but
no, actually, I didn't.
I didn't see.
So there is a new weather that is in your auto translate dictionary that is called, I believe it's something along the lines of beyond time. I believe that's going to be our weather for T12.
Oh man!
Well, they said there's going to be time-based things about it. That's the story of Alexander.
Yeah, at Gamescom, Yoshi told us that they wanted to make the final fight super interesting, so there will be some sort of time travel-ish mechanic or something or other. He didn't say what it was in detail, but I guess we'll have to play it to find out.
Change the future to change the past kind of deal going on there.
But will the future refuse
Back
to
to
change?
the future. Oh man. But the future refused to change.
So if I have any money to put on what Damiani's gonna do the first thing he does when he logs in. I put it on going after that bird.
He's gonna get that bird, man.
That bird.
Tell us all about your propensity for collecting birds.
Birds are amazing. Everyone says that glamour is the true end game in not just Final Fantasy XIV, but any game, any MMO. Glamour is it. But the real end game is the mounts, and elemental bird mounts are the number one thing that you should be doing in Final Fantasy XIV. Don't ignore all this raid discussion we just had.
Yeah, it's all trash.
That's just like that's like bottom feeder stuff. Like no one really does it. It's just it's not very important. But getting primal bird mounts and before that primal pony mounts is pretty much the reason you live for an MMO. And yes, hopefully the Sophia battle is not tied to the main story quest like Sephiroth before it, but you could just run and go unlock that. Unfortunately, Needhog was tied to the story, so you had to go through the patch. There's some people saying that the Warring Triad might be made part of the main story quest now since Dragonsong War is over. So I don't know what the full patch notes, what I'm gleaned at, I don't think it fully reveals if you have to get it through main story or not.
I was corrected on Gaff. Yes, it is still tied to the side quest. There's a little side quest thing. We had to fight one of those general bros in the last one. I forget his name. They're all crazy.
General bros? You mean
Yes, that guy.
the new Gaius?
Yeah, the new Gaius. Gaius 2.0, 3.4, whatever. After that, it leads into the Sophia thing. So it's still a side quest for now. I thought they were going to tie it into the main story. Maybe for Zervan they will.
Okay. So then you can just rush and go do it right away, which is great news. So, and it's been added to Raid Finder. Raid Finder was the thing they added a while ago to get people who couldn't find statics an opportunity to try out the difficult raids, the Midas Savage tiers. Don't know how well it really worked out in the end for that tier, but starting with this tier, Midas Savage is now in Duty Finder. It's no longer Raid Finder. The new stuff, the creator stuff's added to Raid Finder, but also the Heaven's Ward EX primals from Thordan up, I believe. So it's Thordan, Sephiroth, Needhog, and Sophia.
Sophia's not going to be in Raid Finder yet.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow,
it's on there.
I guess for those who don't know, like, what makes Sophia and Sephiroth so special?
Because they're part of something called the Warring Triad from this extremely overrated Final Fantasy game called Final Fantasy VI.
So overrated.
That people seem to cherish and love. And I guess Sephiroth was it the Fiend or whatever was the actual name? The goddess and whatever Zervan or Zervan is. People went out of their minds for this stuff because, Final Fantasy VI and everything from Final Fantasy VI is great and golden. So,
well,
still waiting for the Final Fantasy. Still waiting for the top tier Final Fantasy IV stuff, to show up. It's cool.
You got your Cecil helmet, isn't that enough?
It's cool. You
got your Cecil earring, isn't that enough?
You guys get your.
What about that?
You got your Kane pose.
That Cecil minion.
Yeah, and a Kane minion. What more do you need?
Where is the four fiends fight? I want that music. I want to fight that battle against the four fiends. You can keep your Garuda, Ifrit, Leviathan, and Titan. And I'll take.
We're still waiting for Omega weapon, so it might be a while.
They get in line. Like,
it's fine.
We gotta have Neo Bahamut first.
Toya's Cave. That's cool. We got Final Fantasy 1.
Someone speaking blatant lies in chat right now, saying that 7 is overrated. Please stop.
Hey, they were gonna add Cloud's bike to this game, but Yoshiki said
it's still happening.
It drove too fast, so they were like, no.
I think they said they said something like in order for it to look good, it had to go at a certain speed, and the speed that they wanted it to go at would cause it to desync from the server. So it would be
That's
like the most
perfect.
jank thing ever.
That sounds amazing.
That's totally what I want to see happen.
I'm waiting for the regalia to hit.
Oh
14.
boy.
But
Yeah.
that just means
It's a
break
flying
down.
mount too. It will.
Potentially.
Maybe get a Cindy minion to repair it.
No, no, no.
I mean, you got these crossover events to look forward to. You got the 15 one coming up with the Noctis and Lunafreya outfits and some other cool stuff. Next year you got either the Final Fantasy VII remake crossover, which will be pretty cool.
But we already have
And
a
then-
cloud outfit.
No, you gotta get the new stuff. We gotta get the
No, it's the
Sephiroth
Advent
minion,
Children outfit.
the Cloud minion. Yeah, we gotta get those. And then we gotta have the Kingdom Hearts 3 crossover event, the best one.
Can I get my cloud hairstyle too? Can I get that?
Hey, Cloud hairstyle. We'll give it to
By
you.
the way, if we're
Oh,
gonna call out stuff like Damiani did, I just want to call it that Advent Children outfit is ugly.
It's not the best.
It's ugly.
It's a thing.
It's Nomura. Sorry. Not one of his best designs.
I mean, it doesn't look bad on the player at least, unlike, say, the Final Fantasy IX Zidane outfit, which...
What are you trying to say?
I mean, it doesn't look good on my huge Highlander.
No.
How
I
about
saw a
that
pretty
as
good
well?
Zidane cosplayer as a Catboy. It looked just like him.
See,
I
that
kind of
kind
want
of
to do
fits.
that when I get it.
Or the Lalafels sometimes, yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't know. But yeah, I think the next veteran reward tier is a Squall Leonhard outfit, actually.
Thankfully, Dissidia and not from 8.
I'm really disappointed because we didn't get a Felsier outfit yet.
Gotta wait for the HD.
Yeah.
Max marketing strats. You gotta be patient.
So yeah, I'm sitting here rubbing my fingers together, looking at Square Enix like, oh man, all you gotta do is just do it.
It's so easy for them.
I mean, I'll admit it, even if they add it to the cash shop, I'd probably get it.
Oh, of course.
I would think long and hard about it, like that panda minion that I bought
man.
instantly.
Yo, they can do Yokai Watch with all the crap they did with that.
Ugh.
I had to watch Yokai Watch commercials in the movie theater this weekend. while
What?
seeing,
Screw
Can I just
Akihiro
pay
Miyazaki.
for that
Kubo and the
light
two
up now?
strings. All of a sudden, the pre-show stuff, they show Nintendo's logo. My friend and I were like, "Oh shit, are they gonna show off NX at the movie theater? Is this like this stealth reveal?" We were going nuts. Then freaking Yokai Watch shit shows up. Like, you know what I was like? I knew it immediately because I was like, "Oh fuck that!"
Instantly
Fuck
triggered.
Fuck this yokai everywhere. They did like a 20-minute yokai commercial. I was like, Nintendo's spending more money on Yokai Watch marketing than they will in the entirety of Zelda and NX. I was like, I hate you so much right now. And even infected Final Fantasy XIV. Yokai needs to die. There we go.
Yeah, I got the minions and yeah, screw like that's all I'm gonna do, buddy. All I can
I
do.
saw the cutscene you get for getting all the minions and the weapons, and I was like, why did they let this happen?
They let
Yeah,
him
I
too.
gave up
They
on
let
that.
him
It's
talk
not
too
worth
much
it.
on the live letters too.
No, man.
Yeah, they do. Like, I get he's a fan and that's cool, but I mean, there's only so much fans should be putting their stuff into the game.
Let me know when Nino Kuni comes out, and then we'll talk. Then you can be on a stream again.
Speaking of weird shit being put into 14, how do we all feel about these new Grand Company squadrons that are coming out? I don't know what to think of them. If I'm
See,
excited or not, I don't
they-
know.
Here's something I noticed. They've been talking about this for a long ass time.
Yeah, but I've never cared. I've never cared, Tony.
See-
I still don't
Well,
care.
So
Do you care if they would be able to go on missions with you? I know they can't right now.
If they can give me
But eventually they can
items
go
and
into
yeah,
Duty
sure.
Finder with you. No, they go into Duty Finder with you to do your dungeons and stuff. So you don't have to wait. If you want to go as a DPS, you don't have to wait Instapop. essentially.
Sorry, I have friends that can go with me.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you're so special, Mike.
I'm pretty popular. What can I say?
I think
You're
they've
a
been
new
toying
player.
around with this for quite a while. So do you guys remember in the 3.0 story where you go to Halatali hard mode to rescue Raoban, and how
Yeah.
like the NPCs they kind of function with AI?
See, I dug that mission, and they're like, it'll be like that. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's my theory. They haven't really explained it out quite yet because I still think that we're not going to see it till the next patch, or possibly beyond. But it seems like the squadrons thing. I guess to take it from the top, you'll go to a grand company and you'll basically look at a bunch of dossiers and kind of choose like a group of adventurers to assign to a squadron, and they'll go on missions, kind of like how quick ventures are for your retainer, and you can kind of train them up and kind of level them up for the time being. But the theory is that in the next patch, or sometime down the road, we don't know for sure yet, but they'll kind of be a way to go back and actually like solo party dungeons. Like right now, you can actually go in by yourself, unsynced, or maybe with like a one other person and try to clear something. But it'd be something where you could like train up a bunch of AI players to compose your party. And obviously, I can't see that going beyond like story mode content. Even stuff like the Steps of Faith, that would be a little bit hesitant. Well, actually, to be honest, probably a lot of
Please
NPCs could
say
be
it.
better than people who.
Oh, that fight.
Well then, okay,
That could
shots
go
fired,
wrong.
Tony.
Yeah, I'm like. Yeah,
But
go
seeing
ahead.
the way the NPCs fight, I'm not. I'm not banging down the door square. He's like, we need NPCs all the time.
Not looking forward to that necessarily. Tony, did they? I read the stuff. So you're just leveling up these squadrons right now. Are they actually bringing you back anything? Because as you said, you gotta look through. So here's my like kind of anxiety about it right now to explain. You gotta recruit the members, as you said, but you gotta like question, or the question phase where you look at their profile and you decide if they're good enough for your squad or not. You gotta like dismiss them, or you can wait. But until you actually dismiss them, you can't get another applicant. And I'm wondering if the quality of experience and or possibly items they bring back are dependent on certain makeups. And that was the second part of the question is, I don't know if they bring you back anything. All I read was you recruit the stuff for the members of the squadron. You send them on training missions, up to 3 a day. There's a cap. And then once they level up to do missions, you can send them out on one mission. Or there's a list of missions that can be done once a week, and then they reset every Tuesday, like the normal reset stuff. But I didn't see anything about them bringing you back anything. So is this phase one where the goal is just to level them up as high as you can, and then maybe do something down the road?
They mentioned it was like the tactics. So maybe like a little known feature in Final Fantasy Tactics was that you could actually send people on missions at the pub, and they would be gone for X amount of days and come back with like experience and items and stuff. And they said it was like that.
Okay.
So I assume they would come back with stuff, kind of like retainer ventures,
Yeah, I can't imagine them not coming back with anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, missions take 18 hours, as someone in chat pointed out, but you can only do that mission once a week. It said in the patch note. So if whether it succeeds or fails, so you can fail missions. And failing, you get half the experience. But I guess, yeah, like, can I send? My hope is that I can send my squadron to maybe X dungeon that I don't want to run right now, and maybe they'll bring me back gear for glamour. Like, hey, that gear's only found in that dungeon. Go run this as a mission. I don't know. I just think that needs to bring back something that's worthwhile for me to get too heavily invested in it, because with retainers, it's one for crafting and gathering. They can automatically bring you back every hour, like 6 potentially high quality items that you need for crafting and gathering. And then the rare items, the dyes, the ones that you have to otherwise buy on the cash shop, are great things. Oh, by the way, they're adding 2 new rare dye colors, red and brown.
Brown.
General purpose red and brown. And apparently there's new rare items coming from retainers as well. So quick venture time is back in full effect.
So you're all interested in getting an apartment, or you're gonna leave that to the plebes?
I mean, I have a small house, so I mean, there's really no reason to get an apartment.
So apartments, they're essentially housing for people who, I guess, don't want to join a free company or haven't played the market enough to afford like a small, medium, or large house. And it's kind of a way to get, I guess, get more people into the housing system because there's always been, after every patch that's kind of updated housing, a lot of complaints about, well, I still can't get a place of my own, and I still can't, have a house of my own, and I guess the solution for the time being was that you would join a free company and then buy your room in the house, or you would basically, get a room. Like our free company is huge, so we have a large house, a large estate, and I have a small or the standard size room. And inside that room, I have all of this trash that I never really use, including like
Accurate.
it's basically a place to put all your trash. um, so yeah, I have a marble carpet that's set over like a hot tub that I got kind of positioned so that it would be like a shower slash hot tub.
Oh man.
And I maybe go in there once every month. So
What's cool about the apartments, and probably the only reason I could see that I would be interested in picking one up is that they have a common room in them. So I think it'd
yeah,
be kind of cool to like maybe have you and like a bunch of friends maybe get an apartment in like the same place, and like you'll probably get like a free teleport to it. So it could be like a communal hangout instead of like a free company's house or someone's personal house. So
you,
that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
that's kind of cool, I suppose.
you do get a chocobo stable, but you don't get a garden.
That's a good point too. Like you're bound to the free company house. Like if you want to drop your free company, you have to demolish your room, and the apartment is just kind of something you can have independently. That's a good point. Yeah.
The new Habbo Hotel.
Oh my god,
Oh god.
that fucking throwback.
Oh man.
Was it?
I mean, Mike's like totally attached to my house already anyway, so I mean,
I know. We're kind of roommates.
yeah, we are.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm perfectly content with my little room that I barely use enough as it is already. Like I like going in and like playing with the orchestrion and setting it to like the most obnoxious track, like Papaya every time. Like running in there and just changing it to Papaya every
Oh,
time.
you just mean the best track in the game.
Exactly. So like
I would say it's the best track in the game, but you
Okay, answers
well, I
is a
mean,
close second.
we all know what you think anyway.
know.
You would be proud of me, Aaron. On our EZA Q&A this past Saturday, we were asked about like a powerful song or something in a game or some question like that, and I brought up Final Coil. I brought up Turn 13. I said the transition with answers. I said even though she'll never let me live this down because I deny it to this day. The use of answers and the Terra Flare attack in Turn 13 still stands one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
That whole final
I mean,
phase with the music is amazing.
I
It's
remember
just,
when I
they'll
first
never be able to top that.
when I first saw it, I was practically in tears, as embarrassing as it is to say.
You're such a sop.
It felt so epic though. Like they did such a great
It
job.
It was,
with that
it
yeah.
flag.
was so good.
It was amazing. Probably one of, I mean, I if you're not coming from the MMO sphere, I feel bad for you because I think it's probably one of the most, if one of the most memorable Final Fantasy moments of all time for me.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't even gush about it as much as Aaron does, but I mean, it was to
Yeah,
get that
I mean,
clear to be there. Oh man.
I saw somebody who probably hasn't played the fight before call it underwhelming, and I just I can't even agree to that. It's just completely wrong.
You are objectively wrong, is what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
So yeah, I want to bring up another thing because it's going to be kind of an interesting cog in the endgame sort of ecosystem. We have this new system called Wondrous Tales. And there is an NPC in Idleshire, this adorable little cat girl thing. And she has a quest where you kind of open up a book, and it's got like all of these sort of endgame contents in it, and depending on what you complete, think of it like a bingo score sheet card, and depending on what duties you decide to complete, you'll get kind of like these rewards that can kind of give you a leg up trying to get caught up again. Do you guys have any more insight into it? Because it's kind of interesting to me. Like, I mean, it's clear that this is kind of another system to kind of get people into older content. Like, I did actually see like icons for T12 and T13 in there, or T9. God forbid.
I'm so excited.
So you're probably going to see a lot more people trying to attempt that now, rather than just, you know, people trying to zerg it before a patch.
Yeah, and you know, some of the rewards actually look really cool. I noticed like one of the rewards was some of the new eye level 250 crafted gear, which, you know, is going to be pretty relevant. And there was another piece of gear that had like crafting gear, and it had 5 guaranteed materia slots, which is a big deal.
The dream.
So I know we have like Zelfatol and the Great Google Library, like as our new two
Great Goober Library.
Great Google Library. I like the achievement for that one. Let me Google that for you.
oh my gosh, some of the quest names this time.
Yeah.
Biggs and Wedge's Excellent Adventure.
Yes,
Yep.
that was great.
I love that. Oh my god. If people haven't played 14, just like the references alone and some of the titles and the Fate titles have just been amazing. Like if there's a list of them anywhere on the internet, go find them. They're just really good. Localization team does such a good job. They're very underappreciated, I think.
Oh man, good stuff. Like so a lot of people kind of complain about, you know, the expert roulette only having 2 dungeons in it. And, you know, a lot of people will do those to kind of grind endgame materials and stuff. But this Wondrous Tales stuff kind of seems like it's going to mix it up quite a bit more. Like, you'll be doing more, like, maybe, like, stuff in the level 50, level 60, maybe, like, Gordius and Midas 1 through 4. Coil. I can't remember what else people have spotted in there, but maybe another way to kind of breathe some life into some of the content that's going to be not used so much anymore, especially for people who, you know, maybe are trying to complete it for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, this you know, this isn't the first time they've tried to do that either, so I don't blame them. They spent money making that content. They want people to go back into it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it'll be, you know, doing maybe six, let's see. What was a really annoying dungeon to kind of do over and over? I would say Never Reap. Well, I thought it was a gorgeous dungeon. Gorgeous dungeon. I love Never Reap, but doing it for the 6th time in a row, like on patch on reset day.
Boring.
Yeah.
What was the ones in the most recent patch? I kept getting what was it? Hullbreaker Hard.
That one that's kind of boring, but it seems pretty quick because it's so straightforward. Because it's like a race.
Yeah.
Did you know that dialogue changes in that dungeon based on how quickly you progress through it?
Yep.
Did you know that if you don't AoE enemies, some person's gonna get mad at you for no reason?
Oh boy.
just like the actual players. Who knew?
Do want to point out with the Wondrous Tales, how it's also kind of a mini game as well. Once you get 9 stickers in a week.
You can auto complete one of them or like change it or something like that, right?
So you get tokens for completing one of the challenges in there, but also a sticker that you could place in, or a seal they call them, that you could place in the book, and your rewards are based on lines you finish, and every example I see shows diagonal lines. So I'm not sure if horizontal or vertical lines count, or if it's just all diagonal. But as you can see down the tier list, like the chess piece that everyone wants, the 250 of 5 slots, requires 3 lines to be filled with only 9. So you have to get the middle 4, a 3, and a 2, or like 2 3s and a 2. 1 doesn't count. Actually, I don't know if 2s count. But you have to get like 3 lines essentially, and the chance of that happening normally are very low. The tokens you get, though, you can shuffle the board with the tokens, but you have a finite amount to see if it lines up a bit better for you. So it does seem like the tome reward is going to be like the easiest to get. The other stuff is just going to be once in a blue moon. So I don't know, but they made it sort of a mini game. Like there's a little bit of RNG to it as well. So I'm hoping it'll be fine. You get one each week. It's kind of weird. Like if you get one and you don't finish it, it will expire 2 weeks after you pick it up. So they do auto expire and are no good anymore. But you can only complete one book a week and get your reward. But I don't know. It's something else to do, to go back and do regular content. I hope the next relic step is tied to it. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That'd be great.
Man, I see Titan in here. I don't know if it's EX or hard mode though. Probably hard mode.
Definitely EX. Please make like all the EX primals. Like if you can clear them all, you have a better chance of getting the better rewards.
Plus, you can go get your
and
bounty again.
Make
Final
them all
Focus.
done through Duty Finder. Have to be done through Duty Finder, so you can't unsync them.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do
Yeah.
Mike, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
Right. Now we're playing real Final Fantasy XIV
No.
again. Everyone gets to experience Titan EX. Let's do it.
Oh, God.
I don't want to go back.
Unsynced Turn 7 Savage.
Oh no.
No.
I did finally get that achievement. I was very happy. Thank you.
Did you? I still need that.
A shout out to Gen from Ultros. He's not listening or anything, but still, he carried the hell out of us.
Shout out to trolling every week about that.
Oh my God, you sure did.
On Turn 7 Savage time. Everyone be like, get the
Don't
hell
worry,
out of
with like I-260 or whatever we're gonna get, we're gonna just like kill her before the ads come out next time.
That's what you think.
It doesn't work that way.
That one shriek with no Renaud's frozen, you're dead.
Felix shared with me a thing from FF Logs where 8 DPS killed a Ravana EX in 45 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
So I hope you're all ready for those dead Ravana weapons.
You're gonna.
Did you guys see those crafted Ravana weapons? I'm pretty freaking hyped for that.
Yeah, I've got I've got one of the Ravana items in my inventory.
Got one of those 4 wings.
Although someone was saying the Thornton one doesn't require any Thornton drops.
Ooh.
Thornton doesn't drop mats though, because remember the barding was purchased with the tokens as well.
Right.
So Thornton didn't drop any mats, but Ravana obviously did. So maybe they had to figure out a workaround for that because they weren't going to add a new item to Thornton or something. I don't know. But EX primals. People need to start listening when I suggest things are doable, and then they happen months later, and everyone's ultra's like, "Hey, look at this! They did a solo tank Thornton EX." It's like, how many times you guys tell me that wasn't possible? And now people are doing it. And one day I was like, you don't need a healer for Ravana EX, everyone. Like, why doesn't everyone go 8 DPS and like kill it in like less than 2 minutes? They're like, you need a healer. Like you have to have a healer for that fight. There's just enough damage that you're gonna die. I'm like, I don't.
A Dragoon, it's fine.
I was like, I don't think so. I think you kill it so fast. It's okay.
Yeah, you just bust it up into its damage up form and then just literally burn it to death.
People are like, oh, that first cleave's gonna one shot. I'm like, you do realize it's shared. So if everyone just like stacks in the front just for the very beginning and then doesn't have to move after that, you're all good.
What do you guys think of the new PvP stuff, the spectator mode and the dueling? You can finally 1v1 people.
I'll
Finally,
let
wow.
Damiani handle that one. Enjoy.
Wasn't
wow.
it you, Damiani, who was saying that Wolfston Pier is going to be like the new cool kids
PvP
place?
only.
That's right. Everyone, someone asked earlier in chat, where did you all log out for maintenance? I logged out in Wolves Den Pier. Got that really. Wolves Deer Pen. That slip up could have been a little worse. I had to stop myself.
Oh boy.
That's where I logged out because I am ready for those duels, those 1v1. Plant your flag and let's do this. In Final Fantasy XIV. They're introducing two major new things to PvP in 3.4. In Wolves Den Pier, in a certain spot of it, can't just do it anywhere. So sorry, WoW still has a one up on 14 here, in at least this regard. You can go into the they said a circle on the patch notes, but it's a square. They might have fixed that on the full notes. A square arena where you can challenge someone to a 1v1 duel or up to multiple people in a custom duel in which you just have it out right then and there. You get no rewards for it. You could still queue up for Duty Finder while doing this. So you just want to kill time. Let's PvP. And there were people who were like, yeah, I'm better at you at PvP. That's 1v1, fool. I could kill you. Well, now you can, because you can't really 1v1 in either Feast or Frontline. You sort of can if you go off into a corner.
Only if you're bad.
You just got to hope people don't interfere with your thing. There's no interference in this. And then there's spectator mode now. So you can watch and change camera angles and do all sorts of cool things while viewing a match, either a duel or you could view Feast matches. I think it's Square Enix's last desperate attempt to get Feast to catch on in streaming and esports, which it never is.
It's not going to.
I don't know why they're doing. PN14 is a fun, casual thing to do. There is no people taking it too seriously need to realize that 14 is not a PvP game, but it's one step closer. Adding a form of PvP while in the PvE world is one step closer to the dream of having world PvP, at least on one server, which YoshiP has said could happen, and then all bets are off. Like that whatever server that is, I'm going to that server. Like, bye Ultros, see you later. Maybe they'll make it Ultros, but the dream is to PvP people while trying to kill a hunt in a certain zone. That is going to be the greatest thing ever.
If you say so.
I'm looking forward to like the spectator mode, just because like, like even when 1.0 like was in development, or when 2.0 was in development and 1.0 was still online, even they were doing like all of this, and Yoshida was like talking about like, what sort of features would you guys like to see, and people were talking about like, well, what if PvP? What if you had some sort of spectator mode where you could watch people play? And it feels like this is kind of like a long fulfilled kind of promise from way back in the 1.0 days. It's kind of like, wow, it's actually finally here, and I'm kind of glad that they were able to finally get this in. But I totally agree with it. Like the PvP in 14 right now, like I don't want to say it's bad, but it doesn't really have like a community built around it yet. However, this kind of stuff, though, is the kind of stuff that once you kind of remove the barricade of it, because I feel that when I log in and I want to earn some tomes, like when a new Frontlines comes out, like I'll do that, but otherwise, like I'll be doing PvE content. But here it's like, well, I can go hang out at the cool kids spot and just queue for like, something that takes forever, like I don't know, Crystal Tower 1 or something. Something that maybe I need for like Wondrous Tales or something.
It's another way to kill time. Like if you don't craft, like a lot of people craft during long queues. Some people put up, Netflix, people who play on PC and can have multi-monitor experiences,
Yes, some people are queuing for Gilgamesh and Ultras at the same time.
Or you stop being lazy and getting those alts and level those up.
No, that's okay.
The PvP, the duel will have zero impact on anything though. It doesn't save your record. It doesn't affect your PvP profiles. You don't get experience points from it, and it most certainly does not affect your progress towards the achievements related to PvP. In particular, winning 200 ranked feast matches, or feast matches period, not ranked, to get that Gloria amount, the personal airship. Applies to custom matches as well. Custom matches let you set a bunch of parameters and stuff, and it is instanced actually in that, so you can't just watch it while hanging out at the pier. You have to go into spectator mode to watch those. Those won't count. But 8v8, there's 8v8 feast right now, which is unranked, which is if you just want to dip your toes into, the feast arena. They changed the rules now, so when you queue for it, it can be any party composition. So you might get stuck with 8 healers. And they don't care because it's unranked. They're like, just have fun. I'll get more people in the PvP possibly. Also, those wins do count towards the mount. So maybe it'll be an easier time for some people to get the mount. So
I'm okay with the easier time to get the mount.
Definitely. So we got about 10 minutes left or so. There's one major piece of content that it's not going to come in patch 3.4 right away, but it is the continuation of the Palace of the Dead. And I guess Damian is more qualified than anyone here to talk about it because he's been in there quite a bit. Have you done a show Eorzean Allies in there yet, or is that something that's?
Yes, we have done it. We had spectacular failure on the episode before the last one. We didn't even put up the episode because it was basically we were running out of time because we were talking so much. We really weren't. We were just killing everything in front of us and not really just trying to complete the objectives and move along. So we were running out of time. We fought the floor 40 boss. We wiped to the floor 40 boss, but there were a multitude of issues. For starters, we had 2 people come as Archer and Marauder, and you cannot change to Warrior and Bard on them, even once they unlock them, because the save file locks you to your very specific class.
Whatever.
So the job if you didn't go in as the job, you're stuck on the class. So it's like, that's not good. So Brandon was with us as a Bard. Unfortunately, it affected his DPS just a little bit. The real issue was Mike Huber was our tank. He didn't have any of his aggro generating stuff whatsoever.
Oh no!
He had overpower, and that was like it.
Oh no!
Like
Everything else is locked.
So during the boss battle, the boss is zerging our Brad, our Dragoon, because he's just doing too much DPS on it. And then the ad zerged me because I was healing. It was just, and I was trying to heal. Huber also had a problem of not jumping out of AoEs ever. He stood in every single one.
So the Dragoon sickness, right?
So, but the problem was I was having to heal multiple people who were taking a lot of damage at once.
Oh boy.
And they weren't near each other, so like AoE Medica was not an option. So it just came down to a problem of like too much was going wrong. The ads come out, and if you don't kill the ads in time, you're dead. You are dead if you don't kill the ads. Like a tank can maybe survive. But that if one ad's even up when it does the boss does the AoE, it's GG for you. So we got by the first one because I contributed DPS, but I had to like just straight heal, and one person was dead at that point. It just didn't work out. Like we wiped, and everyone was kind of so demoralized from that. Anyway, Palace of the Dead, fun times, but please make sure you go on appropriate roles and know how to play. They're adding 150 new floors. They are not adding new weapons. So in old Palace of the Dead, you had unique gear and an arm, a weapon specific to the Palace of the Dead, this glowing item or glowing gear. And you, if you max leveled it, you hit like plus 30 to each of them. You could actually take it outside the dungeon and use in PvE. It said they're not adding a new one. So, but I saw the weapons glowing with some red. I don't know. It was confusing. The trailer showed what looked like new gear weapons, but the patch notes said, or something said, no new weapons. Maybe just not now. But I kind of gleaned over the Palace of the Dead stuff because I forgot if it's being added in right away. Had forgot if it was getting added in right away or in a little bit.
Yeah,
I think
it'll
it's in
be
4 or 5, right?
yeah. So about a month after, or a month or
Yeah,
so
that's
from
what
now,
I thought.
around
There's gonna be
Halloween, spooky time.
going to be leaderboards. There's going to be a whole bunch of new stuff added to the new 150 floors. So that's what it means. Sorry, there might be new weapons when they do 3.45. Right now, there's no new weapons. The only thing, they made some adjustments. So right now, if you haven't done Palace of the Dead, it's actually way easier to do. And it's actually, they made it easier to solo. Everything gives off more experience. They buff the potency of a lot of your beneficial stuff, especially the when you turn into a manticore, you can, and a succubus, they up their damage or whatever, something like that. But biggest one, get more experience. So you're going to level up faster. You're going to have a much easier time. That's pretty much it. But they just basically are trying to get you in there so you can get to maybe level 50 so that you'll be ready to go through the new floors once they hit in about a month and a half. So some balance adjustments to make it a little bit easier is all they really did with this patch.
So I guess to kind of top things off, I guess we'll kind of go around and comment on. I guess a good thing to kind of wrap this up would be like, what's the first thing you're gonna do when you log in? And we already know what Damiani's gonna do, so I guess we'll start with him.
Real quick, someone in the chat did point this out. That there's new treasure chest in Palace of the Dead that you have to use a new Pomander for of Intuition, and you can get super rare items apparently from it if you get them and bring them out of the dungeon.
Oh, you can take them out?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you need to appraise what is in that chest to get them. And yes, I was about to say it earlier, but I just stopped. Treasure or traps now affect enemies as well. So
Ooh.
triggering them, you might want to trigger them now. So yeah,
that's like a game changer right there.
The explosion damage one's gonna help a little bit.
Oh man,
Enervation or silence and
yes, the silence.
My favorite, silence and pacify.
Yep, because you can cleanse it from yourself with a potion, or if the healer cleanses it first from them, they can cleanse it from everyone else. Again, it's all making it easier. They've provided a little bit more incentive to go in. Anyway, sorry. Ask again, Tony. Sorry. Go start again. Sorry.
So first thing you're gonna do is get that burb, right?
Yeah. Well, first thing I'm going to do is grab a Wondrous Tale and try and set up the squadron if it's really quick, just to get those going because they're on a daily thing.
Right.
So I want to get anything that involves a daily that's new. I want to start right away, and then I'll try and jump into Sophia and get that going. So that's day one.
It's very efficient of you. I wish I was more proactive like that. So, Mike, how about you?
I don't think you really want to know what I'm going to spend my first bit of time doing. It's going to be with FFXIV DB up, open, and plotting out my gear progression for the entire raid tier into a massive spreadsheet.
That sounds like lots of fun.
Mm-hmm. It will be for me, yes. And then I think first I'm going to do the main scenario. It's usually what I do first to unlock the dungeons for EX. Maybe hop into Creator. I might do that if there's like some groups running. So one of those.
How about you, Aaron?
I think we're gonna try and get into the Creator first thing.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, we're really excited.
And hit that Savage right away, huh?
Well, yeah, we're later at our normal raid time. We're gonna go into Savage mode, so we want to be ready.
Jeez. Well, good luck.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really excited. So hopefully, the things that have been promised come true.
Well, I guess the first thing I'll do is I really want to get the story, done because I really want to see where this is going as far as expansion stuff goes, and I already can kind of tell that there's going to be some cool hinting that I'm kind of curious to see if my theories play out. I don't know. I want to do more Hildebrand. The Scholastic story quest is back. We didn't get a chance to talk about that, but I'm curious to see where that's going to.
I haven't even done them.
Go do them. Actually, it's kind of better that you waited, because, like, I kind of don't remember some of it, but I really want to see how or where it's going, because I feel like
I
it's
haven't
really...
done Hildebrand either.
Wow,
What?
you need to
I
get
don't
on that.
know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
Because there's nothing. I did Hildebrand in 2.0 because, like, here's an Ultros fight. Here's freaking Gilgamesh. There's, like, been nothing in Hildebrand so far.
There is. I mean, there is from
Nothing
like a story.
cool, though.
I don't know if I would say that.
No instances, though.
Well, no, there's no
there's
instances,
no battle on the
but,
big bridge.
I mean, there's some little fun story stuff.
I think they have, like, a little Vivi, like, minion or whatever. I
Well,
want that.
I'm not
We'll
gonna
see.
spoil you, so
want
you'll have to
that.
play it.
Ah, fine.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. I want to thank Aaron, Michael, and Mike for joining us for another thrilling episode. I also want to thank the Easy Allies community for being so warm, and we hope that we could fill your lives with a little bit of our Final Fantasy XIV fandom creepiness, or whatever you want to call it. But you can always find us at novacrystalis.com. We have the latest on, like, the news, Final Fantasy XIV news, Final Fantasy XV news, a lot of Square Enix Japan games, Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest, all that good stuff. You know where to find us. We're going to be putting up some cool stuff over the week. The content that we're clearing, like Alexander, Sophia, we're going to be doing videos on that, so look forward to it. Also, if you want to check out, and we've been doing this show for a while now, over a year now, if you want to check out earlier episodes where we have Aaron, Michael, Mike, and myself talk the latest about Final Fantasy XV, 14, what have you, that's at our YouTube channel, novacrystalis.com, all spelled out. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you guys later.